Greetings, parasite ecologists. We usually think of parasites as things that make the world uglier. I mean, I think they're beautiful, but that isn't a notion that's widely shared. And sometimes parasitic infection can make hosts extra ugly, even to my eyes. But what if I told you that some of the most beautiful animals in the world are beautiful because of parasites? What if I told you that parasites are responsible for creating some of the most beautiful sights on Earth? In this video, we're going to learn how parasites are responsible for driving the evolution of colorful plumage in male birds. As you might have guessed from your prior biology courses, this is, of course, a story about sexual selection. You'll probably remember that sexual selection is what brought us such evolutionary oddities as the peacock. The explanation that we offer for these gorgeous, colorful, expensive displays is that they're a way for males to brag to females about their quality as a mate. Why are female peacocks into this kind of thing? Well, it turns out that the brag has to do with the male peacock's resistance to parasites, including the parasitic nematodes that we've recently been discussing. Let's back up for a moment. If natural selection is survival of the fittest, then sexual selection is survival of the sexiest. That is, sexual selection is the process by which females choose mates on the basis of features that are sexy but not necessarily functional, like a peacock's tail. Think about it. A peacock's tail is not only useless, but downright dangerous. It makes you so much easier to see and to catch, which is bad if you're hoping not to be eaten by a predator. Why do males exhibit these costly traits? Because, of course, they're expensive to produce and often really dangerous for the male. Consider the Irish elk. This is an animal that was depicted in Lord of the Rings as something that could be ridden into war. And whether that's true is debatable, but it turns out that this was not something that J.R.R. Tolkien took with artistic license. The Irish elk actually existed. This is a picture of an Irish elk skeleton at a museum in Dublin. These animals actually did exist, and they had these enormous antlers that were considered to be sexually selective. Now, the antlers are obviously super impractical. These were forest animals. It doesn't make sense to have something with a wingspan of 6 feet when you're trying to fit through the trees. But the thing that these Irish elk were signaling in having these expensive, showy traits of giant antlers is, hey, look at me, I'm so strong that I can get along in this life with this giant burden on my head and not die. A predator hasn't been able to catch me yet, even though I'm carrying 100 extra pounds on my head. I haven't died of starvation, even though I have to invest ridiculous amounts of energy in holding my head up every day. I must be made of pretty strong stuff. So that's the idea of sexual selection. Sexual selection is selection for sexy traits that don't confer fitness, but do tell you something about the underlying fitness of the animal that possesses them. But here's where parasites come in. Parasites have been specifically posited as the cause of colorful feathers in birds. Colorful feathers cost a lot more than drab feathers. The chemicals that make brilliant colors take energy to produce. Parasites might have incentivized the production of these expensive pigments through evolutionary time. This hypothesis is called the good genes hypothesis. Hamilton and Zook in 1982 posited that elaborate appearance is an honest signal of superior physiological condition for parasite resistance. So that females who choose elaborate males are choosing males with superior genes for parasite resistance. And the female's fitness is improved if her offspring inherit resistance to parasites from their father. So these elaborate displays aren't just about avoiding predation. They're saying, look how much energy I have to spare. I must be really good at fighting off parasites or limiting the effect of the parasites that I do have if I'm able to invest all of this energy into a beautiful tail or colorful feathers or even a giant set of antlers. The good genes hypothesis says that these sexually selected traits have more to do with parasitic infection than they have to do with anything else. What predictions can we make based on Hamilton and Zook's good gene hypothesis? Well, at the level of the individual, if elaborate displays are an honest signal of male fitness, then showy males should be more fit. That is, the brighter the male is, the lower his parasite burden should be. Then at the species level, the degree of male showiness in a species should be positively correlated with the risk of infection by parasites in that species. So a host species that doesn't have that many parasites doesn't have that much incentive to develop these ornaments to signal resistance against parasites. Let's pause for a moment and form a mental model of these concepts. Which of these bird species would be more pressured by parasites, given the hypotheses that we've just covered? If you chose the colorful bird, you are right. In a species that has tons of parasites, any male that can signal to females that he is parasite-free is going to have a huge advantage over other males, leading to the evolution of color among males of this species. In a species with few parasites, there's not much advantage for a colorful male, and bright colors are therefore less likely to evolve because they're costly without as much payoff. We can pause here again before we move on in the next video to see how some data has been used to test each of these predictions, starting with the prediction that's made on the individual level. I'll see you in the next video.